clients to do, which is you have to have business and financial acumen. You have to have controls in place. You have to be able to manage your risk. You have to understand the numbers. So that's what we teach our clients to do, we also do for ourselves. And I think I'm a 30-year retired banker that used to sit on the board of the Women's Business Development Center. And when I retired from the bank, I decided to come over to the center to do, I was chairing the long-term strategy committee, and I wanted to help with the succession issue. And what I will tell you is that the biggest gap we have in our community, I can't speak for the nation as a whole, but we have people that are advising business owners that don't have all the experience and skills that they need to advise those women business owners.
And that seems like a staffing problem or challenge.
It's talent wherever you go, right?
Yeah. How do you attract the talent that you need to have the most impact as an organization?
Well, because the WBDC has been around for 32 years and we were led by two iconic women, I mean, we're very engaged in at the city level, at the county level, at the state level, and where we've had the greatest impact, of course, has been in the state of Illinois. Even though for certification purposes we certify outside of the state, but working collaboratively with public sector and working collaboratively with other community organizations for many years has resulted in being consistent and financially healthy, has developed a brand for the WBDC that, allows us to have a seat at the table. And, we sit on various committees. We're just really, really engaged. So therefore, we have a voice, and we created a brand.
How long do people typically stay at the WBC or at the organization as an employee?
Well, when I've been here now 7.5 years, and I've been CEO for 4.5 years. And when I became CEO, and even before that, we set different standards. I don't want to say we encouraged turnover, but we set a performance review process in place and we reviewed every job to better match what we needed to the people that we had, and that process leads to, and we were honest on reviews, and that process leads to healthy attrition. So then we hire differently, and then you start with people who have different expectations. I would say that 90% of the people at the center are a good match with the center's mission, culture, and goals, and 10% we still have to work on.
You mentioned a succession issue, but I'm not exactly sure. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, our two founders retired 4.5 years ago. They still sit on the board, but that was the succession issue. So how we're dealing with succession at a staff level as well as a board level is at a staff level, we have formed a leadership team that has not only direct service that they provide, but they're sort of a lead for their client area. And so Janice Lopez, for example, who runs the WBC Chicago, she's the point person for startup and emerging businesses. So we have, if I got hit by a car, we have a leadership team in place to continue to operate the center. We have a chief of staff who would become acting acting CEO, and we have board members who are very engaged, not just at the board level, but at a committee level, so they could provide that kind of oversight. And with the new accounting firm that we're using, as well as audit firm, and with various controls we put in place over the last few years, unfortunately, I'm not worth the same thing today that I was a few years ago. So I can retire tomorrow and everything would be good.
No, that's great. I think that has a lot to do with sustainability of the organization.
Oh, absolutely.
Because one of the things,
as you well know, Emma, taking over from founders doesn't normally work.
Yeah, it can be a big challenge in terms of goals and how everything's operating, because there could be a rhythm that they'd established.
Right.
Okay. I have a couple of questions about fundraising and budgetary control.
Mm-hmm.
So, what level of control do the individual WBC heads have? So the one at the center in Chicago and the one at the center in Aurora. What control do they have over their own budget and the management of expenses?
Well, they work. They actually write the grant, and they work with our financial accounting staff to develop the budget and to make sure that the allocation of infrastructure costs are appropriate. They do all the program and financial reporting. Now, and we have a check in place. Like they do it, but it has to be checked by accounting, and it's checked by our accountants.
And can you walk us through some of the fundraising initiatives? I'm guessing, well, I'll ask this question first. At the WBDC level, do you do all of the fundraising and grant writing and all of those initiatives, sponsorships, etc., or does that also occur at the individual WBC center level?
All the match funding is done centrally.
Okay.
The grant, all government grants are written and supervised by the director.
So that would be for the WBC grant, they would do the $150,000. That's what they would be responsible for bringing in via the grant, and then your larger organization does the matching.
All the match funding, yeah.
Okay.
They don't have to worry about match funding. We take care of that.
What do you think the effect is on the individual sites that they don't have to do the match funding?
Oh, well, people, finding good development people is really hard. People that are good program people aren't necessarily good fundraisers. And people that are fundraisers are not good program people, normally. So, we've got our grant people, they're focused, our directors are focused on two things. One, the delivery of the program as it's been written and approved. Now, you should know I sign all the documents because our bylaws are set up that I sign all the documents. We don't allocate that responsibility through our bylaws. I'm the only one that has the right to do that. And the reason we want that is we don't want any of our directors to go rogue for the center, to agree to pursue and sign grants that we don't know about, right? So they have responsibility for deliverables on that grant. And they have responsibility for remaining within the budget constraints of that grant and making sure that they voucher and report.
You mentioned rogue centers. Have you had challenges with that previously?
No, we haven't, but that's why that control is in place.
Got it. It's a preemptive strike.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through the fundraising initiatives then that your organization undertakes for